Banaza was a kind-hearted loser summoned as a hero, but he turned out to be weak and useless. However, when he tames an attractive wolf girl, he becomes incredibly powerful and uses his newfound strength to defeat everyone, including a wolf kitten. After being summoned, Banaza finds himself surrounded by various wizards, and the bishop tells him that he is a hero candidate destined to fight the Dark Army and free his nation from evil. While assessing their abilities, the bishop explains that heroes are summoned as level 1 heroes and receive divine abilities and high stats from the gods to aid them in their mission. Unfortunately for Banaza, the gods decided to take a nap during his summoning, so all he gets are terrible stats and some basic trading skills, which are no good in the battle against the Dark Army. Just then, another hero with legendary stats is summoned, and everyone rushes to his podium to support him, ignoring Banaza like a middle child at the table. Shortly after, the Prince Charming is brought before the king, who throws him a huge party while Banaza waits outside, wishing he could be sent back home. Later, he learns that he cannot return the way he came, so to compensate for his failure, the king offers him lodging in a nearby fortress. After traveling for almost 3 weeks, he is left on the edge of a forest with a bottomless bag containing enough food and money to last him for a while. Looking inside the bag, he finds a cheap sword and uses it to kill the slimes that attack him. His sword breaks after a few blows, but he manages to reach level 2, and all his stats, oddly enough, display the infinity symbol, meaning they're maxed out. He then activates the voice guide and is presented with a bunch of new spells he can now use. Afterward, he decides to rest in the forest, but is told it's contaminated by a poisonous demonic gas. His voice guide tells him to use a purifying spell to remove the gas, and although everything seems normal, Banaza gains dozens of new levels and abilities. Back in the capital, the princess approaches the king and tells him it was cruel to bring the hero into the forest, especially since the Dark Army has a base there. At that moment, the messenger reveals that someone has purified the entire forest. The king believes the other hero with legendary stats did it, but he's shocked to learn it was the useless hero who was banished to the north. Back in the forest, Banaza is nearing level 400, and since living in the city is forbidden, the voice guide advises him to use shape-shifting magic so others won't recognize him, which he tries for the first time. She accidentally transforms into a woman with ample curves, but then decides she hasn't quite awakened enough to be considered a woman. After acquiring a new disguise, she uses teleportation magic to return to the capital, but when she tries to return to her own world, the spell fails. She then wanders the city looking for ways to earn money and stumbles upon an adventurer's guild. This works similarly to the one in his previous world, so he registers under the name Fleo and heads to the notice board to look for work. It's then that he sees a girl asking an adventurer to accompany her to Delavesa Forest, the same one he was in before. Everyone refuses, deeming it too dangerous, so Banaza approaches her and politely tells her he'll simply teleport her there. Upon hearing the spell's name, everyone stares at him, making him realize that teleportation magic is incredibly advanced in this world. At that moment, a blonde woman draws her sword, introduces herself as Balarosa, and reprimands him for lying about using teleportation magic. Her squad accuses Banaza of being the biggest fool in the world, and since he doesn't want to cause any trouble, he decides to prove to the girls that he isn't lying. They all gather in a secluded alley, and Banaza effortlessly teleports them all into the forest, much to their surprise. Balarosa immediately kneels before him, calling him Sir Fleo and apologizing for being rude to such a skilled magician. Meanwhile, the girl notices that all the poison gas has vanished. Before Banaza can confess, the voice guide informs him that the girl is also a demon and has essentially betrayed her entire clan. Upon hearing this, Balarosa and her squad draw their weapons, revealing that they've heard of a demon who lures adventurers into the forest and hunts them down. At first, their innocent faces betray their fear, but once she realizes she has no way out, she finally reveals her true form, unveiling herself as Fenre of the Four Infernals. As she releases toxic gas around herself, the entire squad falls to their knees, and Balarosa explains that the Four Infernals are some of the strongest demons in this world. Since Banaza can't protect them all at once, she uses teleportation magic to whisk the girls away. Once alone, he refuses to die so soon and unleashes every spell he knows to confront the monster. Despite her lack of combat experience, Banaza uses every spell she can think of to evade Fenris's attacks, which only frustrates her more. Finally, she manages to immobilize Fenris using gravity magic, and the voice guidance suggests she use subjugation. This was to control Fenris's thoughts and enslave her. However, Banaza is a kind soul who opposes slavery and refuses to use the spell. As she continues to hesitate, Fenris does her best to escape his gravity magic, but finally breaks down, accepting that she is a slave to his magic. She begs the boy to end her life, but Banaza refuses. He says he never wanted to fight her in the first place. Then he unleashes his magic, but Fenris is confused because she believes humans and demons should fight to the bitter end. However, Banaza says he doesn't care and that he could never harm anyone who surrenders to him, much to to Fenris's surprise. Then he transforms back into his human form. But Banaza suddenly turns around and tells her he has his entire inventory on display, covering her with his own jacket. He politely tells her he'll let her go if she stops hunting humans. He then decides to take some clothes from his bag, but Fenris falls asleep due to magical exhaustion. Banaza then sets up camp nearby and allows her to sleep inside. As he observes all the spells he has unlocked, Fenris soon awakens and realizes that Banaza healed her while she slept. She is still confused because anyone else in her place would have abused her, so to avenge herself, she vows never to fight humans again. Furthermore, she declares him her master and promises to dedicate her entire life to providing him with moral support during the day. And the delicious overnight. Banaza immediately backtracks, saying she doesn't support slavery and can't have a life of her own. But Fenris starts making cute faces to change her mind. She even says she'd rather die than be able to serve her, so Banaza reluctantly agrees to let her stay by her side. Later, he explains that he was summoned from a different world as a hero candidate, but he has no abilities and can't even return to his own world. He temporarily raises his shape-shifting magic to show her his true face, even telling her that the people of the castle are after him. He then says he has nowhere to go and no goals in mind, and if she followed him, she too would be led astray. Fenris calmly tells her that her kind lives for a single purpose, to serve whomever they consider their master. Furthermore, she says that it doesn't matter who he is or where he comes from, because she will be loyal to him for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, at the castle, the king addresses the other hero, and he asks for updates regarding his mission against the Dark Army. The hero complains that his forces were a bunch of cowards who broke formation at the sight of the demons and were defeated in 2 seconds. He tells the king he should be grateful for saving whoever he could before leaving like a shameless queen. After he leaves, the king learns that the hero actually stayed behind and fled like a small insect, while the others fought bravely to the end. Outside, the hero worries that although his stats are great, he lacks skill, meaning he can't fight stronger beasts. Just then, his maid Suya appears, and the only thing that attracts her is the large size of his tool. She invites the hero on a trip to the Delectable, and the boy eagerly accompanies her. The next day, Banaza and Fenris walk through the city, and the boy advises her not to call him master. When a merchant addresses her as Mrs. Banaza, he believes it's best if people consider her his wife. Fenris, however, mistakes this for a marriage proposal and agrees to become his wife, claiming it's the greatest honor for her species to have a strong husband. Later, Fenris registers with the guild under the name Rice and obtains an accessory similar to the one Banaza possesses. She shyly explains that in her species, the couple usually swallows the bones of prey they hunt together to celebrate their marriage, and this reminded them of that. Afterward, Banaza advises her to stay home. Just then, the guild leader informs everyone of an urgent request, revealing that a large group of psychopathic bears has been sighted just north of here. With the price 10 times higher than usual, Fenris asks Banaza to accept the mission, but he doesn't think he's strong enough. To prove her strength, Fenris undertakes the mission herself, and they teleport to where the bears are supposed to appear. As Fenris is excited at the prospect of fighting alongside her master, they hear a scream and rush to find Balarosa and her knights surrounded by bears. When one of her knights is overwhelmed by a bear, Banaza uses a lightning spell to knock him down, along with the rest of the knights. As the girls watch in shock, Banaza finally appears, and they recognize him as Sir Fleo, the man who saved them earlier. After thanking him for saving her again, Balarosa asks about Fenris, and Banaza tells her that she is his traveling companion. This saddens Fenris, as she wants him to introduce her as his wife. Just then, a bear ambushes her out of nowhere, but a single glance into its eyes is enough to make it surrender. While Fenris and Banaza argue about making this bear a pet, Balarosa and her squad watch in horror, because these beasts are supposed to be ferocious animals. Banaza then casts a restraint spell around the bear to prevent it from attacking humans. Following this, shape-shifting magic transforms it into a cute little fox. Balarosa then leads them to her home, where everyone introduces themselves one by one. Her squad consists of Blossom, Bilary, and Bolano, and they all ask Banaza to teach them how to become stronger. They tell her that the army led by the hero was wiped out by the psychopathic bears, and the hero refused to lead another attack until the kingdom provided him with better equipped warriors. So, the king ordered all knights to level up by defeating at least one psychopathic bear, but they aren't strong enough to do so. Upon hearing all this, Fenris suddenly becomes jealous, and a dark aura surrounds her, but Banaza calms her down by telling the girls that she is actually his wife. The girls back away because they don't want to interfere in his personal life, but Fenris suddenly changes her mind and tells Banaza to teach the girls how to fight. After he agrees, the girls ask him for a room in his house so they can be near him at all times. Before he can reply, Fenris agrees to let them in, saying they'll only need one room anyway since they're a couple. Meanwhile, a cat demon named Uliminus reports to the Dark One, revealing that his camp in the Delavesa forest was completely wiped out by a purification spell. Intrigued by who cast it, the Dark Dark One orders him to capture the culprit. The next day, Banaza wakes up to find Fenre sitting beside him, pretending to be his wife. He remembers how last night she wanted to give him her flower, but when he refused, she became sad, thinking he hated her. He explained that they can't skip steps, and it's better for him to sleep in the hallway, but she reminded him that the others will be suspicious. Then she helps him get dressed, but Balarosa enters the room at the worst possible moment, only to run away, apologizing. Later, Banaza decides it's time to train the girls, so she pits them against a board to toughen them up. But as soon as the beast charges, Balarosa panics and runs away. Luckily, Blossom intervenes and stops the boar with a powerful sword strike. Fenris quickly orders Bolano to place a shield in front of Blossom, and she does so just in time. Bylary then steps forward and fires her arrow, but her aim is so poor that the shot barely grazes the boar. Things worsen when Bolano's magic runs out and the shield disappears, allowing the enraged boar to pursue them again. As Banaza watches the girls scream as if they're in a haunted house, she tells Fenris that building a harem of useless women is far more realistic than turning them into warriors. Later that night, while Banaza brings in comfortable beds for the girls, Fenris calls everyone to dinner, proudly serving raw meat as if it were a gourmet meal. Banaza stares at the dish in horror, but she politely tells her it would be better if the meat were cooked, but she likes it raw, like a wild animal. She offers to help, and Balarosa joins her in the kitchen. Before long, they prepare a meal that actually looks edible. The girls are amazed at how good the food is and assume there was magic involved, but Banaza tells them it's all thanks to Balarosa. Fenris, on the other hand, looks at the salad suspiciously and says that only weak animals eat grass. Banaza convinces her to try it, and after one bite, she quietly admits that it's good. The next day, they take a cart full of dead boars from the town and deliver them to the guild, attracting a lot of attention. While they waited, Fenris asked to explore the town, and Banaza agreed. Just then, a demi-human named Leolite approaches Banaza and says he needs to speak with him privately. Banaza follows him to an office where he is offered tea and told that the king has heard of his accomplishments. The king wants Banaza to aid the hero and become an honorary knight in return. Banaza listens but indifferently declines, preferring to spend his mornings waking up next to Fenris. Upon leaving, Banaza discovers Fenris looking battered. When he asks her what happened, she insists everything is fine. What she doesn't tell him is that she signed up for a cooking class and caused a nightmare. That night, the hero, surrounded by his harem of inspiring ideas, learns of Banaza's heroic deeds and decides to make him his right-hand man. A month passes, and Banaza continues to reject offers from the knights sent by the king. Fenris complains about how annoying they've been and offers to scare them, but Banaza says it's unnecessary. Later, they discover Blossom working hard in the fields with her pet bear, and while Banaza praises her effort, she wonders if Blossom would be stronger if she channeled that energy into her combat training. Meanwhile, Fenris finds Bylary practicing archery in the woods, but she tells him to aim at something other than a tree. Bylary refuses, saying she could never hurt any animal because they're all too cute. Later, Banaza finds Bolano resting under a tree. He gives her a magic ring that boosts her energy and tells her to try it out later. As he walks away, she tries to put the ring on her ring finger, but Fenris suddenly appears and threatens to cut off her finger if she dares. They are interrupted by a scream from Balarosa, who is being attacked by a giant caterpillar. Before Banaza can jump in, Fenris slices the creature in two and scolds Balarosa for pretending to be weak when she could easily handle a C-rank monster. She then accuses Fenris of trying to seduce her husband. Balarosa is speechless, and none of them notice that Uliminus is watching them from the bushes, except for Fenris. That night, Fenris surprises everyone with a dinner full of delicious, fully cooked food and admits that she's been secretly taking cooking classes. She also learned that one way to win a man's heart is through a homemade curry, so she worked hard to learn how to make it as well. As she embraces Banaza, Uliminus watches in horror, wondering how the bravest warrior of the Dark Army became an average housewife. Just then, Fenris appears behind her and invites her in for tea. During their conversation, Fenris jokingly mentions that she's married to Banaza, which shocks Uliminus. She tries to read Banaza's power but fails, which only makes her more curious. They talk about the Della Vesa forest and the lack of magical beasts there, and Banaza casually mentions that he used a purification spell on it. Uliminus nearly chokes on his tea and accuses him of lying, but Fenris tells him to be quiet and reveals that his brother was one of the four infernals, and if he died so easily, it was his fault. Banaza is surprised that Fenris never mentioned this, but she says it didn't matter because she chose to be with him. Suddenly, the rest of the girls appear with horrified expressions, having overheard everything. Uliminus Ulliminus doesn't care and decides to herself that Banaza is a danger to the Dark Army, while Fenris is a traitor. She challenges him to a mock battle, and although Fenris warns her against it, Banaza accepts. Outside, Ulliminus attacks him with the cat poison spell and continues with several sneak attacks, but Banaza counters them all. He then traps her using a spell called Crucifixion, and after struggling to break free, she gives up and leaves defeated. The next morning, Banaza apologizes to the girls for Fenris's identity and says they can inform the castle if they wish, but the girls say they would never do that because both of them have helped them so much over the past 30 days. Just then, they hear a commotion outside and find Ulliminus standing with a group of dragons. She tells them to surrender, but Banaza is more excited than scared because he's also a fantasy enthusiast. When she orders the dragons to attack, Banaza eliminates half of them with a single lightning spell, leaving Ulliminus in shock. As the remaining dragons flee, she gives chase. As they leave, Blossom says she wishes she could have defeated a dragon to earn the title of Dragon Slayer. Banaza says he can help her and tells her to throw down her hoe. When she does, he uses magic to increase his speed and strength, and she strikes a dragon right on the head, killing it. Blossom checks on her and squeals with joy at seeing the new title. The rest of the girls beg Banaza to help them get the same title, but she tells them that all the dragons have already left, which leaves them disappointed, especially Balarosa. Meanwhile, none of them realize that the Dark One himself has been watching through a magic orb. She's impressed that someone so ordinary looking can use spells even the hero can't, and decides it's finally time to visit Banaza. Later, Banaza puts up barriers around her house to prevent anyone uninvited from entering the premises. Fenris vows to deal with Ulliminus herself if she bothers them again, but just thinking about her makes her angry. Banaza, on the other hand, feels bad about having eliminated Fenris's brother, but decides to keep it to himself. Meanwhile, Blossom continues checking her stats, still amazed that she's now a dragon hunter. The others gather around her, and Bolano jokes that her tool of the trade has officially become a dragon-killing weapon. A moment later, they notice Balarosa quietly walking away, and when they ask her where she's going, she lies and says she's going hunting. In reality, Balarosa is just feeling down because she didn't earn the title of Dragon Slayer. She doesn't want Blossom to think she's bitter, but she's upset because the title could have helped her restore her family's lost nobility. As she walks, lost in thought, a strange man approaches and asks for directions to the house. He says he's an old friend of Fenris's, but Balarosa draws her sword, suspecting he might be from the Dark Army. The man admits he is, but claims he has no ill intentions and only wants to visit Fenris. After he promises to leave immediately, she lowers her sword and agrees to let Fenris know she passed by. Before he walks away, she asks him his name and he tells her it's Gozel. The name sounds strange to her, but she doesn't have time to dwell on it because Balarosa and Fenris suddenly appear. Looking worried, she tells them what happened, and to her surprise, they say that the man she just met isn't named Gozel. His real name is Gaul, the Dark One himself, and Balarosa is terrified, realizing she raised her sword against the greatest threat humanity has ever known. The next day, Gaul visits their home and is greeted by Balarosa and Fenris, who casually invite him in for tea as if he were just another neighbor. As they sit together, Gaul asks Balarosa to join the Dark Army, but she politely declines. Gaul asks her why she doesn't join the King's army, and Banaza says it's because she's not of this world and has no intention of interfering in their affairs. Gaul admits that the war has been raging for nearly 500 years, and no one from that era is alive to say why it all began. All he knows is that the first Dark One was someone like himself who came from a different world and tried to take over this one. That person was accepted by the demons as their leader because the demons were oppressed by humans at that time. The war continued because both factions wanted to rule the world, but after 12 generations, he himself lost interest in such things. Gaul then becomes powerful, saying that he has a duty to protect his kind and cannot let them roam freely, but Banaza simply sits there unperturbed and tells him again that he is not interested in choosing sides, whether human or demon. Finally, Gaul gives up and leaves, but not before saying he'll return to try again. After he leaves, the girls visit Balarosa, who is in shock after witnessing the Dark One's power firsthand. The next morning, Balarosa enters the dining room only to see Gaul having breakfast with Banaza and Fenris, like his best friends. He invites her to join them, but she gets scared and runs away, saying she's not in any condition to do so. Throughout the week, Banaza avoids Gaul like the plague, fleeing every time he visits, which is every day. What they don't know is that a royal soldier is secretly spying on them and sending regular updates to the king. Once the king hears that a demon has been visiting Banaza, he flies into a rage, believing he's on the side of the Dark Ones. Just as he's about to send troops to deal with the traitor, the princess tries to speak up, She tells him there's no real proof that Banaza is on the side of the demons and suggests they at least talk to him first. The king, of course, silences her, saying he doesn't understand how to rule a kingdom. Right in the middle of this mess, the hero struts into the throne room and demands that the king give him soldiers so he can go and punish Banaza for not being patriotic enough. Meanwhile, Uliminis advises the Dark One not to visit Banaza so often because it's not safe. He tells her that Banaza is much more understanding than the current king, and if they can win him over, it will be good for both sides. Then she asks him when they will attack, and he tells her to wait a while. Back home, Banaza is working on a shield made of dragon scales when Fenre approaches him. Since they are alone, she gently asks if his decision not to fight has anything to do with the fact that she is a former member of the Dark Army. Banaza shakes his head and tells her that it's not about that. He simply doesn't want to fight anyone unless there is no other option. Fenre is touched by his kindness and takes his hand. But before they can say more, there is a knock at the door. Fenre wonders if it's Gaul again, but when they open the door, it's the hero with his army of clowns. The hero tells Banaza that he knows about the demon's visits and accuses him of treason. He threatens to take his own life unless Banaza agrees to be his subordinate. When Banaza doesn't react, the hero assumes he's afraid. Banaza calmly tells him she has no interest in working for him or anyone else. The hero flies into a rage, draws his sword, and calls Banaza a traitor. He also says all the girls will be arrested unless they help convince Banaza to side with him, which infuriates Banaza. He leaves, but instead of starting a fight, decides it's best to set up camp elsewhere. He tells Fenris that he doesn't want to risk the girls getting hurt, but the girls beg him to let them go with him, saying they were always taught that demons are evil, but living with Fenris has given them a new perspective. After they've had their say, Banaza activates his teleportation spell, and in an instant, the entire house, the girls, and even the fields vanish right in front of the hero. He simply stands there, incredulous, unable to comprehend how a commoner like Banaza can wield such advanced magic while he himself cannot. While he is still processing the humiliation, a soldier suddenly signals that Gaul has arrived. The moment the hero sees Gaul, he loses his temper and orders the soldiers to capture him. Gaul, on the other hand, mistakenly believes that the hero is the one who made Banaza disappear. He flies into a rage and sends a message to his Dark Army. He tells them to prepare for war and show the humans what the Dark Army is truly capable of. Meanwhile, Banaza and the others arrive west of the capital, and Banaza assures everyone that no one will find them there, much to Balarosa's relief. Fenris, happy that everyone is safe and together, decides to cook them a good meal. Unaware of the war about to erupt in the capital, days after Banaza and the girls leave, the hero and his army retreat. The Dark Army begins attacking human strongholds throughout the north as they push toward the capital. When the king hears the news from one of his soldiers, he demands to know what the so-called hero is doing to stop him, and the soldier informs him that the little coward is hiding in his chambers. Furious, the king orders the soldier to drag him out. After he leaves, the advisors suggest that the only way to stop the demons is to cast a large-scale purification spell. The king hesitates at first, but finally agrees after his council insists it's the only option. Meanwhile, another demon named Greenel arrives with the news, and Gaul immediately orders his army to retreat just in time. When Uliminis argues they shouldn't because they have the upper hand, he tells her that the humans are about to use purification. As expected, the king and his senior mages cast the powerful spell and successfully eliminate the toxic gas called miasma that the Dark Army had released. Far away in his new peaceful city, Banaza arrives home to find Fenris waiting for him with a warm smile and a hug, something losers never experience. She asks if he'd like to try her dessert, but Banaza says he'd like to have dinner first. Later, as they sit down to tea, Banaza tells the others that she's looking into shops to sell things and earn money. Blossom and Bilary tell Banaza they want to help financially. Blossom hopes to sell her farm produce at the market, while Bilary wants to raise horses for people who need carts. Banaza praises them both, but Balarosa and Bolano feel useless since they haven't found a way to contribute. Following her alpha wolf instincts, Fenris quickly assures them they have nothing to worry about, and Banaza agrees, telling them to simply continue training and helping around the house. Back in the capital, the spell severely affects the kingdom's mages, leaving most of them ill. The upside is that the spell will last 3 months, and no demon will be able to approach the capital during that time. Even the king ends up being affected, so Princess Elizabeth assumes leadership in his place. One of her first decisions is to strip the hero of his title, as he has proven to be completely useless. When the advisors ask how they will defend the kingdom without a hero, she tells them to summon the oracle instead. Meanwhile, the disgraced hero is expelled from the castle and vows that they will beg him to return when the Dark Army calls again. That night, as Banaza and Fenris lie in bed, the boy feels grateful for all he has and thanks Fenris, saying it wouldn't have been possible without her. As he speaks, Fenris falls asleep, and Banaza realizes how lucky he is to have such a peaceful life. The next day, the girls decide to take care of the housework so Fenris and Banaza can go on a date. meet. Banaza is shy at first, but Fenris drags him around town, and they both get involved in different activities, generally having a good time. Later, they go to the market, and Banaza asks her to choose anything she likes as a gift from him, which makes her very happy. After browsing several stalls, she reaches the other side of a shop selling accessories that catch her eye. Banaza decides to buy her a brooch that matches her eyes, and she happily accepts. That night, she goes home and keeps looking at the brooch, and seeing her sweet gesture makes the girls realize they had a great time today. However, they feel a little jealous. That night, while Banaza sleeps, Fenris curls up next to him, making him uneasy. The next day, the hero and his companion, Suya, sneak into the castle's treasure chest, desperate to find something that will help him become stronger than Banaza. As the hero curses Banaza, in his head, a mysterious voice calls to him, asking if he desires power. He follows the voice to a hidden room where he finds a sword embedded in stone. The voice promises to grant him any wish if he frees the sword, so he eagerly pulls it out and is struck by a whirlwind. When the air clears, a woman named Haya appears. She introduces herself as a genie who controls both light and darkness, and says she will grant him 3 wishes in exchange for freeing her. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and her advisors meet with the Oracle Ashura and ask how they can protect the kingdom once the purification spell wears off. Before the Oracle can answer, magical necklaces suddenly appear around everyone's necks, causing widespread panic. Elizabeth, maintaining her composure, quickly realizes what is happening and orders the guards to head to the treasure. The Oracle then explains that the necklaces are part of a curse, known as the Necklace of Sacrifice. She reveals that Haya is the one who placed them there, and if the person who made the wish does not fulfill it, the necklaces will take everyone's life in return. Elizabeth also adds that long ago, the king made a wish to the same genie to defeat the Dark One, which resulted in the death of half of all living creatures on Earth. That's why Haya was sealed away and has remained there ever since. Everyone is horrified, but Elizabeth remains calm and asks the Oracle to read the cards. The Oracle tells them that their only hope now is to find the true hero, the one who has already been summoned. The advisors immediately realize she means Banaza and suggest sending the army to find him, but Elizabeth says that's a terrible idea since troops are needed to protect the kingdom. Instead, she volunteers to go herself because only a cute girl in plot armor can control a grown man like that. Back in the countryside, Banaza manages to strike a deal with a merchant interested in buying his dragon shields. The merchant also suspects Banaza was the one who brought tons of dragon meat to the city, but tells the man to keep quiet. As Banaza builds his connections, Fenris and Balarosa watch proudly from outside, and Balarosa remarks that she wishes she had a man like him. Fenris immediately becomes possessive and tells her he has gold, which terrifies her. After Banaza finishes and leaves, she thanks Balarosa for introducing her to the merchant. As they walk home, Fenris says she's proud of him for making things work, but that she also wishes she could spend more time with him. At that moment, his voice guide warns him that a genie is heading his way. When he turns around, she's standing right there. She announces that the hero's wish was for him to eliminate Banaza, and that she's here to make it happen. As he raises his hand to strike, Fenris leaps in front of him and takes the blow, which severely injures her. Fenris falls into his arms, but he doesn't stop there and continues to cast more spells at Banaza. But before they can harm him, a barrier forms around Fenris and Balarosa. Banaza tries to heal Fenris, but his voice guide tells him that his wound is too serious for basic healing magic. He attacks again, casting an even stronger spell, but the barrier still holds. Now aware that the threat is far more serious than anticipated, Banaza prepares for what comes next. Burning with rage, Banaza's mind flashes with all the memories they created together. From the day he first met her, took her on a date, and even learned that he was responsible for killing her brother. Every happy moment, every laugh, every quiet second shared with her propels him forward. He vows to make her pay, vows to make Haya pay. He casts a time reversal spell to undo Fenris's wounds and lunges at Haya, striking her right between the eyes. As Haya questions his audacity in laying hands on someone as powerful as herself, Banaza casually approaches and stomps on her face, telling her to shut her mouth. She tries to stop him with a spell, but Banaza instantly cancels it and gives her the proper housewife treatment. Haya then checks her stats, only to discover that all her abilities are infinite. Banaza continues his relentless attack, throwing blow after blow as Haya struggles to defend herself. Meanwhile, Fenris slowly awakens and sees Banaza fighting for her, looking more protective than ever. At first, she's thrilled by how strong he seems, but the feeling fades when she realizes he's sacrificing everything just to protect her. Banaza is still unaware that Fenris is awake and lifts Haya by the neck as she cries and begs for her life, but he refuses to show mercy to the person who nearly took Fenris's life. Just as he is about to finish her off, Fenris hugs him from behind and pleads with him to let her go. She sobs against his back, telling him that if he abandons his values for her, she will never be able to live with herself. Her voice snaps him back to reality. He drops Haya and turns to confirm she's truly alive, relief flooding his face. Fenris tells him she's all right, and he hugs her as tears stream down his face. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and her troops arrive on the outskirts of the city via a teleportation spell. She apologizes to the mages for putting them under so much stress, but they tell her not to worry since they have sworn loyalty to the kingdom. She then tells her men to locate Banaza, but before they can move, the necklaces around their necks crumble into dust. Elizabeth realizes something is wrong with the hero's wish and begins to wonder why Hia didn't grant it. Back at the royal treasury, the king's men wait outside, urging the hero to surrender before it's too late. The hero realizes the genie must have failed in his task, but suddenly, black smoke begins to billow from the cursed stone where the hero drew his sword. Tsuya is suddenly possessed by a spirit who changes his outfit into something very suggestive and introduces herself as Damalina, the great midnight mage. Before the hero can react, she casts a spell and transforms him into a monstrous version of himself. The possessed hero explodes from the treasure, with Damalina's writing on his shoulder. His goal is to wipe out the royal family and punish the nobles who helped seal it away a century ago. But at the top of the stairs, he notices the remains of a teleportation circle and immediately sends the hero after Princess Elizabeth, wanting to begin his revenge on her. Back in Banaza City, he heals Hia, who awakens and is astonished to be alive. She asks why he saved her, and Banaza calmly says it's only because Fenre is still breathing. Balarosa asks what they plan to do with her, since someone so powerful can't be left alone, but Banaza suggests sealing her away again. Even so, he adds that sealing her might not work forever, since she could always trick someone else into releasing her. Hia is surprised that he knows this and asks how, only to discover that Banaza used memory projection magic to glimpse her past. She's astonished that a human can use such an ability, because such magic is restricted to only their species. As Banaza begins to consider a solution, Fenre intervenes and suggests that they should let Hia work directly under Banaza's orders. Doubt, pointing out that Hia almost took her life, but Fenre says she didn't defend herself properly and doesn't blame her. After a pause, Banaza extends her hand and tells her she can stay if she swears never to hurt anyone again. Hia, touched by Banaza's lack of hatred, takes her hand and swears loyalty. Banaza even apologizes for hitting her earlier. It was pointless, but somehow it made her want to bow down to him, much to the chagrin of the jealous Fenris. Looking around the destroyed city, Banaza considers using time magic to fix everything, but Hia warns him against it. She explains that time spells are risky because they disrupt the synchronization of those outside the spell's radius, and only a genius can use them safely. When Banaza asks how he can use them, she reveals it's because he possesses infinite abilities, which grant him Epiphany, a power that allows him to copy any spell used against him. Realizing the risks, Banaza switches to using his construction magic to safely restore the city. Seeing this, Fenris understands the risk he took to save her and falls even more in love with him. Later that night, Banaza introduces Hia to Blossom, Bolano, and Bailari. The girls are initially frightened, terrified of encountering a genie, but Balarosa calms them and assures them that everything will be all right. That night, Banaza sits alone in the living room, regretting having mercilessly beaten Hia. Just then, Balarosa appears to check on him, and he apologizes for showing her that side of him. Balarosa understands that he had to do it to protect them, and the boy tells her that he doesn't understand how to use his power. Balarosa is lost in her own thoughts, saying she doesn't even know who the enemy is, so she doesn't understand why she wants to become stronger. Despite the paradox, she's grateful to live with him and Fenris. Later, Banaza enters her room and finds Fenris sitting on the bed with a heavy look on her face. He asks her what's wrong, but before she can answer, she pulls him down onto the bed and holds him down. She asks if he plans to return to his world and leave her behind, now that he has all these powerful spells at his disposal. Banaza is shocked, so she explains that she can now use genie magic, which means she can return to her world whenever she wants. As tears fill her eyes, she snuggles close to him and tells him to take her with him wherever he goes, understanding his pain. He tells her that everything and everyone he loves is in this world, and he has no intention of leaving. Then he asks her if she wants to be his true wife, adding that almost losing her made him realize how much she means to him. Fenris tells him that she has always seen him as her husband. She also tells him that she was always taught to live as the leader of a pack, but meeting him made her realize that life isn't just about fighting. Hearing this, Banaza kisses her, and they begin to make love. Lost in the moment, just as things start to heat up, they suddenly hear a voice and turn around. They see Hia standing in the doorway, staring at them like a freak. Banaza, annoyed, tells her to leave, but Hia insists that, as his maid, it's her duty to be by his side at all times. She also tells them there's nothing to be ashamed of because pleasure is a natural part of life. But this has the opposite effect, and they're both taken aback. The next morning, the princess searches the city, asking everyone she meets if they've seen Banaza, but no one seems to know where she is. Meanwhile, back at the house, Fenre serves a delicious breakfast to Banaza and the girls and reveals that Hia helped her. They're surprised that she can cook, and Hia proudly says that she wanted to embrace being a housewife after Banaza treated her like one by hitting her. As they sit down to eat, Fenre reminds Haya to take care of the laundry and a few other chores once they're finished. That small request makes the rest of the girls feel a little uneasy, and they start to wonder if at this point they're just freeloaders taking advantage of everything. After lunch, Blossom rushes to her field and throws herself into farming with more energy than usual. Bylary also heads straight to the stables to check on her horses, determined to prove she can earn a living too. Both worry that if they relax even a little, Haya might take over their roles. Belano, who doesn't have a specific job outside of magic, stays in her room, silently battling self-doubt. Her father and brother are powerful mages, and she left the knighthood before she could become like them, a decision she somewhat regrets. Although she's rather weak, Banaza has been wonderful and patient with her slow progress, which makes her happy. Then a sudden scream breaks her thoughts. She runs outside and finds Bylary already at the door. They both look out to see Blossom's field being trampled by a large, out-of-control magical horse. When the horse charges at them, Belano steps forward and casts a barrier spell, preventing the creature from charging. At that moment, Balarosa arrives and explains that she brought the horse home because she couldn't bear to see it suffer. Unfortunately, it went berserk as soon as they returned, which is quite strange. Upon hearing this, Bylary instantly realizes the problem and summons Saib, telling it to revert to its original rabbit form. The horse calms down immediately, and Bylary grabs a shovel and rope, ties them together, and throws them to the beast, who bites them, allowing her to jump onto its back and take control. Once the beast is completely calm, the girls praise her skills and call her a brilliant horse caretaker. Sitting confidently atop the now docile creature, she asks Balarosa if they are allowed to use the grounds surrounding her property for training, but Balarosa says they will need to consult with Banaza first. Meanwhile, in the city, Banaza and Fenre are out and about conducting business, while also enjoying some affectionate company. Later, Banaza conducts business with the merchant, having delivered another batch of dragon-scale vests, while Fenre waits outside, excited to see him working. Suddenly, the sky turns dark, and an eerie presence fills the air as Damalina and the hero, now a monstrous puppet under her control, descend from the sky. The villagers scream and run for cover, but Banaza, Fenre, and the princess, who is still nearby, remain where they are. Damalina wastes no time and attacks the princess directly, destroying her guards in seconds. At the same time, Haya appears before Banaza and Fenre and quickly explains that the monster is actually the hero. Her body is now controlled by Damalina, a sorceress who once ruled Clyrode before being sealed away for using forbidden magic. She claims it was the hero who pulled out the cursed sword, freeing her and making this disaster partly her fault. She asks Banaza for permission to take charge, and Hia agrees, but reminds her that keeping the townspeople safe is her top priority. On the other side of the city, the possessed hero prepares to trample the princess, but Hia intervenes and easily blocks the attack. Recognizing her opponent, Damalina flies into a rage and begins casting spells, but Hia deflects each one effortlessly. Even when Damalina changes tactics, using a mix of brute force and magic, nothing manages to land. Hia calmly reminds him that geniuses like her can't be hurt so easily. Trying to turn the tide, Damalina summons dark spirits from the earth, which the hero absorbs, causing him to grow even larger. Just as things start to look grim, Banaza steps forward and cancels the control spell, causing the monstrous form to vanish and the hero to return to normal. Haya quickly apologizes for letting things escalate, but Banaza doesn't reprimand her and simply nods approvingly. Without wasting any time, Haya casts a sealing spell on Damalina, who is too distracted by Banaza's magic to retaliate. Her spirit is expelled from the hero's body and becomes an orb, which Haya swallows to ensure the sorceress never escapes again. Banaza asks if swallowing was truly necessary, and she replies that wasting such good things should be a crime. She then explains that she has absorbed the witch's powers, which she will now use to serve her. As they decide to leave the hero to the castle soldiers, the princess approaches Banaza and formally introduces herself. First, he thanks her for what she has done for the kingdom. Then he apologizes for the way his father and the hero treated him, promising that the hero would be held accountable. Afterward, he politely asks Banaza to return to the capital and become the true hero of the kingdom. But Banaza carefully declines, saying that he is not interested in taking sides and that he only wants to be with his wolf kitten for the rest of his life. After returning home, Blossom and Bylary gather Banaza and explain their plan to expand the property by purchasing more land. They say it would give them more space to grow crops and raise magical horses, which would ultimately benefit the family. Curious, Fenre asks Bylary why she prefers magical horses to ordinary ones. She admits it's because regular farms are very expensive and difficult to maintain, especially for someone with little money. Banaza offers to speak to the landowner himself, but the girls insist on doing it themselves, wanting to take responsibility and prove they can handle it. However, once he shows them how much it will cost, the girls despair, knowing they'll have to find alternative ways to pay pay for it. Luckily for them, Banaza considers them part of this household and offers to pay for them. The girls still want to contribute in some way, saying they can pay him 30% of the profits they make from the new land, which he gladly accepts. Later, Banaza advises Blossom to cultivate rare crops in her fields, even offering his magic to help her. He says she wants to get ahead without depending on him, so Haya offers to lend her magic instead, since she's also part of this house. Blossom is still against it because she thinks natural growth is better, but Banaza insists they let her try using her magic for good. They ask Haya why she's dressed in her mage uniform, and she says it's because she decided to join a magic academy. The girls think she's joining to learn new magic, but she says they gave her the role of teacher instead, which makes them happy. Haya thanks Banaza for teaching her magic and showing her that it's useful even outside of combat. They go to Blossom and ask if Haya can use magic on the farm, and Blossom agrees on the condition that they use it on a small portion of the farm so she can compare the results. That night, everyone starts working on their own tasks, and Banaza and Fenris watch like proud parents. Banaza then says she wants to open her own shop someday, and Fenris offers her full support. Just then, Banaza pulls out a ring she crafted from a stone and offers it to Fenris as a wedding ring, which makes her truly happy. Meanwhile, the hero and his maid are locked in the cells, and he vows to escape and take revenge. That night, Balarosa has a strange dream in which she is about to marry Gaul, and has promised him the entire world as a wedding gift. When she wakes up, she wonders why the last man she would ever want is the protagonist of her dream, and then screams in frustration. The next morning, while helping Fenris in the kitchen, she looks tired, so Fenris says she must be lovesick. She goes on to explain how those of her kind often dream of things they desire, but Balarosa loudly proclaims that she could never fall in love with that monster. Just then, the others enter and demand that she reveal who has stolen her heart, and when she refuses, they mock her, guessing that it must be the Dark One. As she grows increasingly frustrated, she's advised not to be prejudiced against demons, and listens to Banaza's explanation, who managed to capture an evil demon. They then ask Fenris to tell them how they first met, and Haya joins them. She says she's also interested in knowing why she loves Banaza, and Fenris tells them that, aside from his impressive physique, Banaza is incredibly kind and sweet. She also reveals how she was always on guard at first because she wanted to protect Banaza, but once she realized he was stronger than anyone she'd ever met, she decided to take it easy. Just then, Banaza enters, embarrassed that Fenris is talking about his softer side. At that moment, they see someone coming through the barrier, and Hia notices that a demon is nearby. Meanwhile, at the castle, the princess learns that the gold coins Banaza donated were of the same type reserved for the royal court. Surprised, she learns that Banaza welcomed them when he was banished to Delavesa, meaning it's the same Banaza they once expelled. Realizing their mistake, the princess says they need to properly apologize to the real hero by providing him with a large harem. Just then, a soldier rushes in to report that the fake hero and his maid Suya have escaped from prison. She orders them captured, but the guards find nothing because they're camping in the woods like they're in a video game. Once the coast is clear, the hero starts complaining about being treated like a criminal, but Suya points out that he literally is one, since he stole a magic bag from the treasury. When they open it, they find only a bag of water and a treasure chest, but there's nothing in the chest but a shovel. The hero shouts in frustration, attracting attention, but before the guards can reach them, he quickly digs a hole with the shovel and jumps in, unaware that it's too deep to climb out again. Meanwhile, Uliminus informs Gaul that Banaza is nowhere to be found. She urges him to continue the invasion, but Gaul says the purification spell is still active and sending troops now would be a one-way street. She suggests corrupting the ground to clear a path, but Gaul still refuses, saying he can't risk lives when Banaza could only destroy them if he sides with the humans. When Uliminus warns that others might turn against him because of this hesitation, Gaul rises, his aura making him think he's crossed a line. However, he approaches her and gently strokes her head, telling her he understands her unease. A demon named Fufun overhears everything and rushes to inform Uigard, Gaul's younger brother, who is angry that Gaul has softened. Uigard declares he will challenge his brother for the throne. The next day in town, Banaza and Fenris finish their business and decide to have lunch when they notice an old shop closing. They learn that during the last battle, the owner's workshop and trade routes were destroyed, and he doesn't have the strength to start all over again. On their way back, they run into Balarosa, who offers to treat them since she earned some money at the guild, and Fenris reluctantly accepts. Shortly after, Haya appears and warns that a powerful demon is approaching. Fenris recognizes Gaul and stops Haya before she can do anything. Gaul joins them for lunch, much to Balarosa's annoyance. During the meal, Gaul admits that he has been searching for for them because the barrier around the city confirmed Banaza's presence. He also says that he regularly visits human villages to observe them, which infuriates Barbarossa. When she accuses him of spying, Gaul admits it, but calmly explains that humans are not as innocent as they think because they harmed demons upon seeing them. Haya adds that the real problem is that most demons can't control the miasma they possess through natural release, which harms humans. Gaul also points out that many demons are violent by nature, making peaceful coexistence nearly impossible. After his grim explanation, he apologizes for ruining the mood and leaves quietly. Later, as she walks home with the girls, Banaza reflects on what Gaul said. She used to believe this world was better than the one she came from because demi-humans were treated equally. But now she sees that the war against demons isn't so different from the discrimination she thought she'd left behind. With his heart pounding, he hugs Fenris from behind and tells her how much she means to him. Fenris, understanding his emotions, remains still and simply absorbs the moment with a smile. The next morning, as Banaza enjoys breakfast with the others, everyone praises Fenris's cooking skills. She gives credit to her teacher, Hia, and reveals that she thanked her personally because her cooking lessons enabled her to create the delicious dish. At that moment, Princess Elizabeth appears and surprises him and Fenris by calling them by their real names instead of their aliases, Fleo. They invite her in, and once Barbarossa serves the tea, the princess asks everyone to leave because she wants to speak privately with Banaza. Fenris immediately refuses, saying that everything concerning her husband can be said in her presence, and that the kingdom has already mistreated her enough. After Banaza supports her, the princess relents, and as the others leave, Fenris remains alone with the two of them. She kneels and sincerely apologizes to Banaza for the way he was treated after being summoned, but Banaza calmly tells her that she holds no grudge and asks what brings her there. She takes out a map, spreads it on the table, and shows her where the kingdom's forces are stationed. Banaza finds it strange to share something so important with someone who isn't even part of her inner circle, so she explains the situation. The effects of the purification spell are wearing off, and the kingdom's mages are still too weak to cast another. Troops have been dispatched to defend several cities, but there simply aren't enough soldiers to protect them all. That's why she came to ask for his help. Fenris gets angry and says the princess has no right to drag Banaza into their war, especially after they treated him like a fool. Trying to calm things down, the princess says her father will recover soon, and if nothing is done, they might try to hunt Banaza down. Fenris thinks she's threatening them, but the princess says she's trying to protect him. She then reveals her plan to force her father to abdicate and face the consequences of his actions. Fenris, not fully understanding, begins to suspect that Elizabeth is using her husband to seize the throne, but Banaza gently tells her to calm down. Elizabeth then explains that by entrusting him with the location of her forces, she hopes to demonstrate to everyone that she is not allied with the Dark Army. Doing this would prove her father wrong about him and help her gain the support she needs to take the throne. The princess thanks him for his understanding and begs him to protect the innocent citizens. Elsewhere, the hero and Suya finally manage to escape their pursuers, but Suya starts crying because she's hungry. The hero, in a rare act of kindness, gives her one of the 2 cookies they have left. He's surprised she decided to stay with him after all, but Suya feels the same way, saying he could easily have deceived and abandoned her too just before their romance gets anywhere. Fufun appears and kidnaps them. That night, Banaza tells Fenris that she wants to make this world a better place before having children, and Fenris supports her decision to keep her tool wrapped up for now. A few days later, the inhabitants of the outskirts begin fleeing to safer locations due to the threat of attacks from the Dark Army. In the forest, a girl gathering nuts is unaware of the danger nearby until Banaza and Fenris, both in disguise, appear just in time. Banaza creates a strong barrier to block the demons and tells the girl to run. Fenris asks why she didn't accept the reward for helping, and Banaza says it's because it would mean she sided with the humans. One of the demons realizes that Fenris is also a demon and angrily demands to know why she is fighting them. Banaza replies that she is his mate and warns them that if they attack, he will not hold back. Fenris advises them to retreat since they cannot break through the barrier, but instead, they make way for their leader. The leader, a hulking Cyclops whom Fenris recognizes as one of Uigard's finest fighters, mocks her entire race and even insults her brother's death. To prove that her race should never be looked down upon, Fenris asks Banaza to let her handle him, and once he agrees, she breaks through the barrier and launches her attack. The Cyclops tries to crush her with his enormous club, but she easily dodges it, only giving him minor scratches. When he asks if that's all she's got, she says she's holding back on purpose because Banaza doesn't approve of the abuse of power. Then she leaps into the air, uses a spell to switch places with him, and the Cyclops is struck by his club instead. She transforms again, sending him crashing face first into the pole she just threw. With another spell, she uproots some trees and uses them to pin him to the ground. Enraged, the Cyclops orders the other demons to charge, but Banaza casts a spell that freezes them in midair. He tells Fenris that he doesn't need to fight anymore and then heals the wounded Cyclops with with magic. Once he finishes, he asks the demons to leave, but the Cyclops doesn't understand why Banaza is letting them go. Banaza explains that he wants to befriend more demons, not just Fenris, but adds that he will show them his full power if they force him to act. That's enough to frighten them, and they flee the forest. Banaza lowers the barrier, and Fenris praises him for using the intimidating gaze she taught him at home. After they leave, Fenris asks him why he didn't torture them, and he says it's because he wants to reduce tensions between the two races. Shortly after, the villagers arrive with the young woman they rescued and wonder why there's a demon with him. He reveals that she's his mate, showing them that demons and humans aren't enemies. They thank Banaza for protecting them, but Banaza tells them to thank the princess instead, since she was the one who sent him. After that, he climbs onto Fenris's bag and heads to the next village to help more people. Shortly after, the princess learns of a masked adventurer who has been repelling the dark army with a wolf, and the man simply leaves without giving his name. Furthermore, he tells everyone that the princess sent him, so she immediately recognizes Banaza and Fenris. Pleased that the boy accepted her request, she promises to repay him with royalty later. Meanwhile, Gaul continues to watch Banaza from afar when Greenel arrives with disturbing news about her brother's rebellion. At the same time, Fufun presents the hero and Suya to Uigard, who plans to sacrifice them to the evil god in exchange for the power to overthrow Gaul. As they prepare for the ritual, Uigard anxiously awaits Gaul's arrival. Shortly after, Gaul arrives at Banaza's house and asks if he can stay for a while. Confused, Banaza asks what's going on, and Gaul finally tells him about his brother's rebellion. When Greenel told him that Uigard had taken the throne, Gaul rushed to the castle. While Uliminus went to the 4 remaining Hellions for help, they refused, saying that Gaul needed to face the truth that he had strayed too far from his original purpose. Without support, Uliminus stormed into the throne room and tried to strike Uigard, but his claws broke the moment they touched her skin. Uigard didn't even react, and with a single blow he slammed her against the wall, leaving her barely able to move. At that moment, Gaul arrived with Greenel and told her to take Uliminus to safety while he handled the situation. Uigard challenged him to a duel, but Gaul said he had no interest in fighting. Uigard argued that he had no other choice, pointing out that his people had supported the duel and believed Gaul had become too soft. When Gaul asked why they were discontented, Uigard accused him of wasting time with humans and refusing to send troops to the war. Fufun added that many had begun to question his loyalty. Gaul then asked if Uigard had ordered the recent attacks, and Uigard proudly admitted it, calling it the perfect opportunity to seize control. When Gaul turned to the 4 Hellions and asked if they agreed with Uigard, their silence gave him the answer. As his energy began to surge, they all thought he was finally going to fight, but instead, Gaul removed his demon ring and threw it at his brother, saying he was resigning because there was no point in leading a people who didn't believe in him. As he turned to leave, Uigard demanded a fight, and Gaul responded with a brutal kick that sent him flying through several walls into the abyss. He then apologized to the Infernals, saying the kick was revenge for what happened to Uliminus. Back in the present, Banaza and Fenris are stunned by his story. At that moment, Balarosa enters the room and nearly faints when she sees Gaul sitting there. Banaza casually mentions that he's considering letting them stay, and Balarosa freezes. After a moment, she joins the others, still tense. As Gaul himself explains, he is no longer the Dark One and left the demon realm because staying there no longer felt right. Blossom asks why the demon army attacked if he had already retreated, and Fenris quickly clarifies that the order came from Uigard, not Gaul. Hearing that, and Gaul's promise not to fight humans puts everyone at ease. Fenris then asks how a man who once called himself a king was suddenly silenced. Uliminus explains that he gave away all his wealth to loyal followers before leaving. Banaza turns to the others and asks if they are okay with Gaul and Uliminus living with them. Everyone agrees, except Balarosa, who doesn't want to live under the same roof as the Dark One. But after a little emotional push from Fenris, she reluctantly gives in. The next day, Gaul, feeling uneasy, offers to help. He tries to join Blossom in the fields, but she refuses. He then heads to the stables to help Bylary, only to frighten the horses, so she kicks him out. Finally, he finds Banaza in the workshop and decides to hang out with him while they talk. Fenris and Uliminus appear from the hallway. Uliminus complains about how quickly they're getting along, but Fenris simply reminds her that she told her Gaul can do whatever he wants now. That night, while the others eat and laugh together, Balarosa remains silent and distant. After everyone goes to bed, she walks out onto the balcony where Banaza and Fenris are. They bring her tea and snacks and gently ask what's troubling her. Banaza guesses it's Gaul and admits she doesn't feel comfortable living with a demon. Banaza assures her that she doesn't have to pretend to like him and suggests she simply keep her distance if that helps her feel at peace. Her calming words seem to help, and the next day she approaches Gaul and tells him she still doesn't trust him, but she'll be keeping an eye on him. Gaul sees this as progress and offers her a handshake, but she declines, saying he has to earn that first. Meanwhile, back at the demon castle, the hero and Suya manage to escape Fufun Fufun and are now running for their lives. As Uigard sits in the demon realm, he is furious at how the humans keep winning battle after battle and demands that Fufun explain what is happening. She calmly tells them that the humans have set powerful traps blocking their advance, but advises them to bring an even larger army that no trap can stop. As she rises to leave, she greets Fufun casually, as if she were a housewife. The three infernals, who have been silently observing, talk amongst themselves as Uigard departs. They mention that there's no way they can win this war with a leader who only knows how to blindly collect pay. Another point is that morale is already at rock bottom, and if they don't do something soon, the entire army could collapse. At that moment, Fufun re-enters and tells them not to worry because he has a plan. But first they need to hold a social gathering to boost morale. A few days later, Banaza and Fenris visit the city, and she wins a prize, a trip to the hot springs. She's thrilled, thinking it will finally be just the two of them, and they can finally break some beds. But her joy is immediately dashed when she discovers the voucher is for families of 3 or more, not couples. She tries to change his mind, but Banaza insists they should go as a group so everyone can enjoy a break together. Later, as they walk toward the hot springs, Fenris looks sad until she learns that the hot springs increase fertility. Fenris starts imagining herself holding Banaza's baby and gets excited again. As soon as they check into the inn, she corners one of the workers and quietly asks where that specific hot spring is. The staff member gives her a map with a friendly smile and wishes her luck getting her kitten beaten up. Meanwhile, the girls begin changing into the yukatas provided by the inn. On their way to the changing rooms, Blossom accidentally bumps into Uigarde, who is disguised as a human. She apologizes but is startled by his cold and threatening expression. Fortunately, Fufun intervenes and diffuses the situation before his disguise is blown. After Blossom leaves, Ugard starts complaining that Fufun let her go, but she begs him not to make a scene and reminds him of his true mission. She also gives him a necklace that suppresses his miasma, which finally calms him down. As they pass by, Gaul, Uliminus, and Fenris spot the disguised demons, and Gaul, being his usual oblivious self, thinks it's a good idea to go and greet them. Fenris nearly loses her temper and tells him that coming face to face with his brother will only end in a confrontation, and if that ruins his chances of receiving Banaza's delicious treat, he'll get his instead. As the others settle in, Fenris hugs Banaza and gently asks him to accompany her to the fertility hot springs. Haya tries to join them, but Fenris approaches her and tells her he won't hesitate to chew on her bones if she interferes, causing her to back away. When they reach the spring, Fenris tries to drag Banaza into the women's bath, but thankfully he refuses. Instead, they both sit near the wall, separating the baths, and talk through it. As they talk, Banaza tells her that once all this mess is over, she'll make time to plan their honeymoon properly, and that comment makes her truly happy. Meanwhile, the squad gathers for lunch, and Balarosa keeps staring at Gaul. Blossom thinks she likes the Dark One and pressures her to sit with him, but Balarosa says she's keeping an eye on him because she doesn't trust him. Blossom then calls Gaul, and he immediately compliments Balarosa's dress, which excites her. However, this makes Uliminus a little jealous. As they leave, Balarosa and Uliminus start talking, and she declares her unwavering loyalty to Gaul, letting him know that Uliminus is in love with him. Back at the inn, Uigard's group is having lunch, and he demands some entertainment because he's bored. Fufun tries to dance, but she's so bad at it that Uigard hits her again just to make her stop. With her out of commission, 2 other demons try to lighten the mood with a battle, but it quickly devolves into a fistfight between the 2 demons, causing their miasma to leak out. At that very moment, the hero and Suya arrive at the inn, hoping to finally relax in the hot springs after all that running, as they need some money. He pulls out a jewel he stole from the demon's treasure. As he admires it, the jewel suddenly begins absorbing all the miasma being released by the 2 fighting demons before he can react. They crash into the wall and land right in front of him, causing him to drop the jewel in shock. By the time Fufun rushes in and yells for them to stop, the jewel has absorbed all the surrounding miasma and is attached to the hero. It begins to scream as it merges with his body, enveloping him in a corrupt black aura. Soon, the entire building begins to collapse, so Banaza quickly uses his magic to stabilize it. He tells Fenris to go and find out what's happening, and she leaps over the wall without even bothering to put her clothes back on. From outside, Balarosa and the others watch as the giant creature rampages through the inn. Gaul looks around and says the monster is made of pure miasma. Uliminus points to the glittering jewel around its neck and explains its design, which amplifies miasma absorption. Balarosa wants to rush in and help everyone inside, but Gaul tells them it's best to stay out of it because Banaza can handle the situation. Even so, the girls refuse to stand idly by and insist on helping, which makes Gaul reconsider his stance. Inspired by their courage, he approaches Uliminus and asks if she wants to help Banaza. She recalls how, when he was the Dark One, he never asked for her opinion, but now he's acting like a gentleman. Together, they teleport directly to the inn's roof, just as Fenris arrives from the other side. The Infernals immediately spot Gaul and begin calling out out to him, which catches Uigard's attention. Furious that his brother is there again, he leaps straight onto the roof and issues a challenge, demanding that Gaul fight him right there. Balarosa sees Gaul and Uigard on the roof and instantly assumes that Gaul has betrayed them, so she rushes to the baths to warn Banaza. At the same time, Uigard begins throwing punches at his brother, but Gaul blocks the attacks with a spell, which only angers Uigard further. Meanwhile, Balarosa finds Banaza and quickly tells him about the demons gathering on the rooftop, including Gaul, whom she believes is working with them. Banaza assures them that Gaul isn't the type to betray them and decides to hold the inn along with his magic while the brothers sort things out. Back at the inn, the miasma-powered monster attacks Gaul, but he defends himself and tells Uigard that he has the power to control miasma. Uigard thinks the best way to stop it is by separating the hero from the jewel, which clearly amplifies the monster's powers. Fenre then takes on the task and strikes the hero to dislodge the jewel. As soon as the jewel is removed, the miasma monster vanishes, and Suya, caught in the chaos, finds herself floating just above the ground. Afterward, Gaul calmly tells Uliminus to keep the others from getting involved, while the brothers fight on the roof. When he reaches the other demons, they assure him they have no intention of intervening, as it is clearly a battle between brothers. On the rooftop, Uigard continues to unleash a barrage of blows, but Gaul has an active spell that reflects them all back at Uigard. Frustrated, he powers up and begins striking even harder. After sustaining some damage, Gaul grabs Uigard's face to silence him and uses a spell to seal his powers, leaving him completely defenseless. Furious at losing his abilities, Uigard begins hurling insults as the inn staff on the grounds watch in horror, worried that the fight might reignite. Trying to prevent further destruction, the manager orders the staff to draw their talismans. The moment they throw them, the talismans envelop Uigard and his crew like ropes and teleport them out of the building. At the same time, Fenre continues to slap the hero repeatedly, and when Uliminus asks her what she's doing, she casually says she's trying to get rid of any remaining miasma. Balarosa then runs over and tells her that Banaza wants everyone to leave the building so he can repair it, and as soon as Fenris hears that, he drops the hero and backs away. Banaza casts a spell that restores the inn to its former state, and once the building is stable again, everyone helps clean up and tend to the injured. Some of the staff members also chase after the hero, and Suya tries to escape, digging another hole to hide in. Once everything calms down, the manager thanks Banaza and his friends for all their help and tells them to enjoy the rest of their stay. Fenris is especially excited because she can finally get Banaza to eat her cookie at night, while the girls are having fun at the fertility fountain. Uliminus joins them and notices that Balarosa's attributes are much larger compared to hers, which makes her jealous. While the girls play, Banaza and Gaul relax in the men's bath and talk, with Gaul acknowledging Banaza's kindness toward all races. Gaul says he's ready to help Banaza bridge the gap between humans and demons, and Banaza agrees that working together might be their best chance for lasting peace. After the bath, everyone gathers for a big dinner, and one of the waitresses gives Fenris an eel pie, known for its energy-boosting properties, which will help her go through 7 rounds in a row. While they eat, Balarosa approaches Gaul and silently thanks him for saving everyone from her brother. Later that night, when most of the household is asleep, Banaza and Fenris sit outside in the moonlight. He asks her how she feels about humans, and she admits that she has grown fond of them, especially after spending so much time with him and the girls. When she asks why he mentioned it, Banaza says it's because he needs her on his side if they are going to make peace between their two races. Fenris tells him she's ready to support him in any way she can because that's what a good wife should do. After that, they're caught up in the moment and share a kiss before going to sleep. The next day, when the group returns home, the girls can't help but notice how radiant Fenris is, which is enough for everyone to guess what probably happened. A few days later, life at Banaza's house slowly returns to normal, and each of the girls resumes her favorite hobbies. Volano becomes a magic teacher, Blossom works on her farm with Haya's help, Bailery takes care of the horses, and Balarosa continues her work as an adventurer. She even becomes the official tester for all the weapons and armor Banaza and Gaul create in their spare time, always offering helpful feedback when she returns home from a mission. Soon after, Princess Elizabeth officially ascends the throne and asks her advisor to capture her father, who presumably fled the kingdom after losing the crown. Meanwhile, the hero and Suya are still wanted and continue to hide from the soldiers. Back at the farm, Fenris calls everyone to dinner, and Banaza is proud of the family he has built in such a short time.